Welcome back to this live event. Yeah, I know I look like an idiot, but hey, you got to stand out. It's social media, guys. You got to stand out. So today we are going to be discussing making sure your ad is being shown to the right audience. Okay, so this is going to be basically about how to build an ad. It's really, really important, not just to build an ad. There's loads of changes that have been going on in Meta, basically in the last year, 6 months. I mean, 6 months, 4 months. It's literally fast forwarded so much that it's hard to keep on top of. And fortunately for myself, I'm in it all the time. I spend literally 12 hours a day, I know, in Ads Manager on people, different accounts, looking at different strategies, figuring out why things are working, not working, how to make them better, how to scale, all the stuff you can imagine that you read about and see about from myself and my other peers. But testing an audience and getting the audience right is something that's quite hard, because now we're also constantly hearing this, getting in front of the right audience. Is it Advantage Plus? Do we use broad? Are interest still there? Do lookalikes still work? All the things that are going on. And it can be really, really confusing. And unless you've got loads and loads of money, it's really hard to test everything. So I work on accounts that are spending tens of thousands a week, to accounts that are spending 20, 30 pounds a day. And you can make it all work, absolutely, but you can't do testing on 30 pounds a day as simply and as active as you can when you've got £1,000 a day. So on this on this particular call, I'm going to tell you or show you, because we're going to go into Ads Manager, how to build a simple audience testing, and how to choose those right audience so that you find an ad that actually goes to the right audience. So, but what about me? So if you've not come across me before and you've not taken any of my content, you don't know who I am, basically. My name is Nick Boddington. I run a company called Let's Run Social, but I also have the Ads Clinic. Now, some of our trusted clients here, you can see here some big names here. These are the companies that we work with in the social company, in the agency. But where the Ads Clinics come in is where we speak to smaller businesses to help you run your ads effectively. So I also have a podcast called Let's Run Facebook Ads Podcast. We've actually just got to 100,000. So it's a pretty big podcast. It's kind of weird when people come on and say, been listening to you for a year. You're like famous. And I'm like, I'm really not. I just sit in this room doing what I've got to do, or go into the office and talk to the people there. But I get it when you're online a lot. But one thing that came through the podcast is the fact that 2 years ago, I put a little advert on there saying, if you need help with any of your ads, jump on a 30-minute call with me and you can get a consultancy call for free where I look at your ads. And then if you like what you see and you want help going forward, you can have me as a consultant. Well, that's expanding really, really rapidly. It's really good. And a lot of businesses coming from small businesses. So it's basically another company that started off within our Let's Run Social brand. And that's essentially what these lives are about. It's about pushing that forward, etc. But this one under here as well, you see the Ads Clinic, which is my school account. So this launched like a week ago. And in here, it's completely free. You can join the community. It's growing at about 5 people a day. We've actually just launched some ads for it as well. And I will be obviously announcing that I go live on a Wednesday on here. Tomorrow evening, I'm also doing a 30-minute, depending on how many people come, might be longer, drop-in clinic, like the play on words for the old clinic thing. So, and that's where you can come on. You can register with school. So it's school.com/the ads clinic. Register there, and then you'll see the link to jump onto the drop-in clinic every Thursday at 4:30 for at least half an hour, where we'll go. I'll answer your questions, and I'll even you can even share your screen and look at the ads, and I'll basically do as much as I can in the time we have to get your ads sorted. So that's a little about me. On Facebook, what you're here for. So Facebook is amazing. I know it's really, really annoying, and I know it's really hard to use, and it can be complicated. Well, everything's hard to use unless you know how to do it. And there's changing things all the time. There's bugs. Trust me, I did a video this morning for the school, and it was bugging out while I was doing the video, and it just shows the things that we all have to go through. But because I spend so much time there, I understand it like it's my thing, yeah? And that's what I want to teach you guys. So it's an amazing platform. I do ads in LinkedIn, I do ads in TikTok for clients, and by far we get the most amazing results from Facebook. Most people will say, but Facebook ads don't work. it's generally because you haven't done it right, you're not targeting the right people, your content doesn't look right, your messaging is not right, you haven't set it up right. There's various things that come into it. So I understand the confusion. There are 68 million people on Meta, 44 million are active on Facebook, approximately 66% of those of the total, 66% of the total UK population. The audience diversity, which we'll see today, is Facebook. We can look at age groups, we can look at genders, and we can look at interests. But we can also look at lookalikes, etc. User touch points, regular use by millions, created repeated exposure opportunities. 70% of Facebook users visit daily, providing advertisers with frequent touch points. Now, when I say Facebook, we're always referring to Facebook, but that includes Instagram. Unless you turn it off, your ad will go to both platforms. Advanced targeting capabilities, which is pretty much what this call's about. So we've got demographics of age, gender, relationship status, education. I'm going to be looking at why we use these and why we don't. Interests, the hobbies, brand names, online behaviors. Then we've got lookalike audiences, custom audiences. You know, people get lookalike audiences, a cold audience. People use it for retargeting. It's not retargeting. None of the people in a lookalike audience know anything about your business, so you're not retargeting anyone. And then we can go all the way down to 40 miles of your particular location, your clinic, whatever your business is. So we're going to go into basically this, but more importantly, how I can test and show you how to test things very, very simply. And once I've done it, you'll be like, oh, that's actually really easy. So stick around for that. We're going to be starting that in a few minutes. So here's an example to share of when you get it right. So this is one of my clients, actually not too far away from me at all. Sabi and Saint wedding photography, videography. Now, this is just an idea of what they did in November. They spent $788. They had 26 leads, of which 16 became actual discovery calls. Call it a discovery call. Basically it's your sales call. And that cost per call was $49. Cost per lead was $30. They had a really good conversion into a call. Lead to book was 61%. There's your conversion. And down here, they booked 6 sales at 3,000. So 18 grand they took in revenue with a CAC, which is the cost per acquisition, of £131, which was amazing, amazing stats. Another example, I've literally been on a call with these guys this morning. When I say these guys, it's a 20-year-old lad who's got a clinic over in Portland in Maine, America. This is one of his ads where this is actually great, because I didn't actually realize for 2 months that this guy here was actually AI generated. And what's clever about this is that some of the wording, these subtitles that come up, are slightly scattered around this kind of area, which means that you don't focus so much on his face and what the movement, even though it's very, very good. I didn't even know it was AI. So really good here, and they've got their messaging here. So you can see here from his first weeks when we started, same sort of structure as the one I just showed you, 66 leads in, 18 discovery calls. Obviously, every single week we're doing stuff. Today we've been talking about testing headlines and all sorts. So we're always optimizing what we can do pushing forward. And you can see on his 9th week, it did 17,500, 118 leads, 70 discovery calls, closed 29 of those with a cost per acquisition of 78 compared to 400 in his first week. So amazing stats. But without further ado, let's get into building an ad and showing you how to do it. So this is an ad account, as you know, and I've got one here which I actually built this morning. So there's no data in here, right? And this kind of shows you a structure of 3 different ads that I've built. Now these ads are basically very similar. I'm not testing this for the color or anything like that, or what stands out. I think it's a pretty standout. I actually copied an ad that I'd seen last night, took a screenshot of it when I was just going to bed. I know I shouldn't look at my phone before bed. And then I set myself a note. These things are really important. Screenshot, and then I send myself a note immediately saying, when you wake up at 7 o'clock, well, I was up early, but at 7 o'clock, look at your phone and look at the screenshot you took last night. And there's an ad example. I completely forgot when I woke up, and then had this built. I went into Canva. I'm not a creative. I don't know how to use these Canva things. So that actually took about 2 hours to make, whereas one of my team would have done it in about 15 minutes. But you can see here it started learning. So that's one way you can structure an ad. I'm actually not going to show you this way. Well, you could still structure your ads in here. We're going to focus on this area here. So I've actually got one ready. So this is my school creative test. So this ad is running people to my school, which I presented to you a couple of slides back, and I'm going to run some cold traffic to that and just see how that goes. But we're gonna go into this one, and we're going to continue the building of this test ad to help you with building the audiences. So because it will just help with this call and the structure. So each of these ads has got a different one in. Okay. Now I'm going to take that out because we only test for one thing. So I'm going to show you how this is built. So I would have basically created a new ad. Okay. And in this new ad, we go to, I'm going for leads. So we're going to go for a lead structure. Okay. So we go into our leads and we continue into that. Now, if you were doing e-commerce, you could carry on exactly the same way. You would just press sales in the first half. Tailored leads. I always ignore this. So I know Facebook is just pushing and pushing to all the things that it wants to give us on default, but I'm ignoring all this sort of stuff. Okay. I want you to go to manual leads campaign, and that's what will build this campaign. Okay. And when we go in here, we are going to leave everything. We're not even going to do advantage testing, because that means that's going to mess up the way I'm going to get you to test audiences. Because if I do it this way and we have multiple ad sets, let's say we do this. Okay. So let's say you're in here and you've now got multiple ad sets coming through. Okay. So there we go. Multiple ad sets. We've got, this will be audience 1, this will be audience 2, and this will be audience 3. We're going to look into those audiences now. But if I left the budget up on the campaign level here and put the budget here, Meta would decide how to distribute between these 3 audiences. We don't want that. To make this a proper test, we want to give it each an amount of money. So $10, £10, £10, £10. Okay. That means that we know that Meta is going to spend £10 a day on each one, and we can look at the results. If we do it by the campaign, Meta will choose which one it wants to be a winner. Now that's fine if you're just trying to find a winner very quickly, but I like to know my metrics and make sure that everything is running exactly how I want it to run. So we're going to go back out here and we're going to just take those out, because that was just my example. So let's get rid of these 2. So we're back at 1. Okay, so we've got our campaign and we've got our ad set. We're going to open this up and we're going to go to website, because I'm going to be sending through to my website. Okay, so again, it's trying to get you to use instant forms. Instant forms are a great piece of kit, but the quality is really crap, so we're not going to use it. Maximize number of conversions. Never touch this, even for a test, unless you're going to go into like different types of testing, but that's not what this call's about. I actually built a video this morning, which will be on the school this week, which will actually tell you different ways of doing things. But we're going to choose our pixel. So I've got my ads in a pixel, and our conversion event is going to be what we want, which is going to be a lead. Okay, so that's all set up. Right, so we're in the ad set is where we're building our audience. So down here, it automatically puts you by default into an Advantage Plus audience. Now, there's a couple of things you can do here. You can change your location, but we're not going to need to do that. We're going to stick to UK wide. And in here, we can just overlay with some audience suggestions. Now, that essentially does the same thing as switching back to original audience options, which is how we used to build it. You can see here. So it's the only difference is it's just pulled the UK into here. So we have a custom audience. That's where we can use for retargeting if we want to pull in a lookalike or people in our audience. Okay. But if we're going to go out cold, we want to be looking at our age group, the genders, and Advantage Plus detailed targeting. Now, we're going to do this as if I'm going out to my own audience. Okay. So we want to think of the audiences we want to go to, and then we're going to build our ad sets. But before that, we are going to finish off building the ad, because when we come to testing things, we need to decide what we're testing, and we only test one thing at a time. If we're going to be testing our audiences, which is what this video is about, then we want our ad to be exactly the same as each other. Otherwise, we're going to have a different ad going to a different audience, and then it's not a true winner of what's going on. Okay, so we have to make sure that these are always in line. Okay, so let's have a look at this ad. So I'm going to just go in here and pick out one of my creatives. Okay, so I'm going to pick out the one we did this morning. So let's go to, let's use add one. So one of these was, there we go. Right, add one there. Okay. We're going to keep these all, I always keep these to original until I make different decisions about what I want to do. This is a new AI thing, skip that. And enhancements, if you listen to my podcasts and watch my videos, you'll always know that we turn everything off, because in here there's loads of little hidden ones which they like to. So we're going to keep all these off. The only one I'm going to keep on is actually visual touch-ups, which means it's actually going to stretch my green out a little bit to make it look better when it lands on a reel, because it's actually just a square ad. So we're going to say that there, and then we're going to go test copy. I'm literally, just because I've got nothing to test, so test copy, test headline. Just so everything's the same, you would obviously put your own copy and headlines in there. Sign up is what I would want. You can see here our enhancements, 1 of 8. And then we've got our, that's not actually the URL, but that's fine for now. Again, a default here is auto, because we've gone for a lead campaign, it's automatically pulled in the instant form. We don't want that, take that off, and tracking. Right, so there's our ad. So let's label this. This is ad 1. So nothing changes there. So you can see I've gone to actually build the ad on this occasion before I build the audience, because I don't want to be coming backwards and forwards and repeat building everything. So we want to build the bit that's going to stay the same. We're going to build, which is this bit. Now we're going to go back into our ad set, and we're going to call this audience 1. Okay. And then we're going to be going to advertising. Actually, hold on. Before I do that, I'm going to duplicate it first. Right. Here's our campaign all set up. This would be for our first audience once we build it. But we don't want to go in there and have to change the audience every time. It gets confusing. So we're going to have, we've got £30 a day, and we want to test out 3 audiences. But the budget is actually signified how many audience we're going to test. Because I would recommend, no matter what your budget, as a minimum, £10 per audience. Going by all the different ad accounts that I work on and all the different types of budgets, £10 a day at the moment is a good number to get the amount of impressions that you need in a test in a day or two to make, you know, so you're not waiting a week. If you were to put £2 on a day, it might not even feed out. You're not going to get data quick enough. And if you did, you'd still be waiting 2 weeks before you actually hit the amount of impressions, which I like to be around 5,000 impressions before I decide to turn a test off. Or if the ads are working, I don't turn them off. So even though I might be in test, if I've got some really good ad workings, I just take out of test mode. Mentally, I'm out of test mode, and I just start scaling or optimizing to get more of what was working. So you don't have to be set in stone thinking, oh, it's a test, I need to turn it off. You don't need to. If it's working, just go with it. So audience 1. So now we're just going to click these 3 dots. We're going to go to audience 2. Now what I've done, I've duplicated audience 1 into audience 2 like this. But remember, because we've already built the ad, we've saved all the time. So ad 1 is exactly the same. I'm going to call this, sorry, it's going to carry on being called audience ad 1 because that's not changed. It's exactly the same. Then we're going to go in here and we're going to duplicate the ad set again. And we're going to go to add, audience 3. We've got our 3 audiences with the same ads. Right, so now we can start building audiences. So in here, back into audience 1, so we can just know exactly how we're doing this, right? We're going back to our original settings down here, UK-wide 18+. Now, I'm in advertising and I want to get people to go to my school. Now, yes, I want people in my school, but I also want the right people in my school, because you guys dropping into my school, yes, it's a free product, it's a free service. But ultimately, I want to get you to become a consultant, a client of mine. That's what I want. You know, I'm giving you a lot of value, and it is give. But a number of you, I want to come through and help service your business even more, and we can do some business together. That's where we're all in business together. Okay, so I personally think that if I go too low on age, I'm going to get people who don't have the funds that I want. So I'm probably happy to start at 30. 65 plus is probably, you know, apologies to anyone here who is older, but you know, I want people who are still running their businesses. So maybe up to 60. All genders, absolutely. And then we want to look at advertising. So I'm going to look at advertising here. If I can spell Now, you'll see that a lot of these interests are starting to change. We have relevance and we have size. Now, I'm going to concentrate on relevance here, not so much on size, even though we do want to get large size audiences. Now, the biggest thing that I have all the time for my clients is our mentality as advertisers is going back to what Meta was like 2 to 3 years ago, and obviously way before that. It was seen and used as a database platform. So we would get an ad, no matter what, we didn't really even think about how good that ad was. We would get an ad, it would say what we wanted it to say. Probably most of the time it was pretty crap, but we would build an amazing audience. So we would have people who liked the Nike page because we were trying to sell trainers, or I used to do one to a CrossFit brand, or when I had a CrossFit gym that I was involved with, I would try and promote that CrossFit gym, and I could actually target the people who the top people in CrossFit. So people who liked their Facebook page would be pulled into that audience. Those days are gone. It's becoming a lot harder. If you're an ads manager a lot, you'll start seeing that your ads are actually starting to go away from that, and you get warnings and things at the top of your ads saying that some of these audiences are going away. So Meta is all about the large audience. Okay, you can see here, I like these high millions. Okay, remember, the mentality you need to get into is your content needs to be shouting out to your audience. Your content is leading your audience, okay, not the audience. So the days have gone where we have 150,000 people who are all CrossFitters in a local region who are going to come into my CrossFit gym. Okay, that's gone. We now have to have an ad going to a 30-mile radius of a CrossFit gym, and the ad needs to say, hey, are you looking to try CrossFit? Come in today for your free trial. Then Meta will go out to a larger audience, but only the people who see that ad and see that headline are the ones that are going to resonate with the ad. So we need to think about the content first and not so much the audience. Okay. So you'll always find that people will go broad or Advantage Plus. Now, you've just got to make sure you don't go too early. If you've only just started and your pixel, which is the bit of code that goes on your website, has hardly any data going through it, or you haven't had any leads go through it, Advantage Plus is going to be really, really hard because Facebook's brain just hasn't got anything. So that in that case, we start needing to go a little bit tighter and niche on our audience just so that we can get the right people coming through. Make sense? So, but one of these audiences, surprisingly, is going to be broad because I want to put a lot of trust. So the advert that I actually put up live this morning is 30 to 60 broad. And I'm actually going to go with that one first before I start cutting it down. Because if I can get the leads coming through and signing up at the right cost, I've got a massive audience to go for, which means it's going to be easy for me to scale. If you go for a small audience in a tight radius of where you are, not UK wide, it's going to be harder. The other thing that you're going to find is that even if we've got a 10 million audience, we might find that only 10,000 people are ad reaches. And that's because even more so now, Facebook is really, really concerned about giving someone engaging content to view. And even though you think that they should see your ad, or the audience is built that they should think the ad, if Meta doesn't think it, they won't show it. So I do often see the reach of people reached, yeah, obviously, is like 10,000, but we had like 20,000 in an audience, in which case then you have to do other audience testing, or you have to do lots more creative. Okay, so if we go in to here, have a look at this. Now, advantage detailed targeting. Let's do this one for advertising as we were doing before. Okay, so we've got advertising here, fields of study. It's going to be people in advertising, fine, but it's going to be more expensive. So field of study, employers, job titles, schools, universities. These are the expensive demographics. So you will always find that your CPMs will be more expensive going into these. There's less people in them and they'll be more expensive. Whereas advertising and interest, look at the size of that marketplace. Okay, now it's probably that's worldwide. You can see now our estimated audience has gone to 8 to 10 million, which is a good size. Okay, so I might want to define this a little bit further and have people who also match. So the more I put into this one box at the top, marketing, business and finance, digital marketing, online advertising, okay, you can see the audience is getting slightly bigger, but it hasn't got that much bigger, even though they're huge audiences. That's because there's an overlap of the people in these audiences. Okay, so it's that one alone had 10 million in it. putting these massive ones in it, we've only got 10,000, 12,000, 12 million. So if I was to take these out like this and then start with online advertising, was it online advertising or marketing? Forgotten now. Amazing. Online marketing, field of straight interest, marketplace, online advertising. There we go. Probably back up to 10 million or 5 in that one. So let's put in advertising again. Keep to an interest. There we go. There we go. Brought us back up again. Now, these are all and. So there's a crossover, all these people. Now, if you wanted to get tighter, you could go and must be into social media. Social work, not the right one. Social media here. Employees, interest, big. Social network. And now you can see it's dropped down to 6 to 8 million by having that one. But what else we've got? Social media. That's probably a better one. That takes it to 9. Network. Let's take out. There we go. Popped us the same one. So I'm happy with this one. So we've actually built an audience here of people who are with the sort of age group that we want, both genders, 30 to 60. Now, I will now go back up here and go audience 1, advertising. Sometimes you can't put everything in these. Oh God, my spelling, sorry. Advertising, etc. Along with, you can create your own little symbols for this, social media. Okay, so I'm sort of doing that. Okay, so advertising, etc., and then social media. Okay, you could even do it with, it literally depends on how you want to work like that. Okay, right. So there's our first audience built there. Let's just check everything in here. It's absolutely fine. If you want to, you could save the audience and just name it, and then you'll always have this. So you can have a little spreadsheet of all the audiences that you tested, and you can like green, amber, and red the ones that are good, or put your own metrics in it and bring them all back. Right. So now audience 2, I want to go for something completely different, really. So we want to look at, maybe we go into the ads manager stuff. I think there should be, no, let's have a look. What do they have in here? Google Ads. There was, or used to be, unless they've taken it away, Facebook, influencers on Facebook, page admins. There we go. It's a behavior. So, but if someone's a page admin, the likelihood is they're invested in Facebook marketing. There were more of those, weren't there? Here we go. Retail. So we got, look, retail page admins. Got a few of these coming through. So I think this is worth doing a test to see how these go. But I'm not going to waste time now. But you can see there was. Maybe if I just put page admins in, that'll help. Jimmy page, landing page. New page admins. Okay, we'll stick it in there. But you can see what I'm doing. There again, nice big audience. Now, I said it might be more expensive because these are actually behaviors opposed to interests. But we'll try it. We're going to take this here. We're going to make this 30 to 60 like the other one. So everything stays the same. And we're going to go up here, page admins. Okay, like so. Right, and then our audience 3, I'm going to keep broad. But broad with an age. So I am still going to keep the age the same, but I'm just interested in seeing what broad is. I have a lot of faith in the algorithm, and we all need to have a lot of faith in the algorithm. But the more data you have, the better you're going to get. So we now have 3 audiences all built: broad, page admins, and advertising, etc., and social media in here. So we've got one audience, we've got one campaign, and let's call this an audience test. Now, depending on how much money you've got, you could create 10 of these if you wanted to, and running all at the same time. They've all got their own budget. Now, I noticed they're all for 20. They're all for 20. So I'm just going to check in here. We can highlight them all. We can click the arrow. We can go to budget, and it'll actually bring up the budget here. £10 to each. Save to draft. And now we have our ad sets. We don't even need to look at which, we don't have to be in here because they're all the same ads. And we've got our ad sets in here. And then as the results start coming in, we'll start seeing results, the leads, cost per lead, reach. But the biggest thing from a test that I'd be looking at for here, as well as leads, I'll be looking at my CPM cost. That's going to be the cost to get to 1,000 people impressions. So I'd be liking to think that my page admins would be the most expensive. Broad would be probably the cheapest, followed by audience one. Okay. Link clicks, how many we get? Click-through rate is the good one. Now, obviously, we want to do things to we need to look. This isn't a creative test. If it was a creative test, we'd still be looking at this even more so because we want to look at what's creative is working. But these are the metrics we still want to look at to make sure our admins are right, to make sure our test is going well. Now, I would usually wait until each of these has got to around about 5,000 impressions and then turn it off. But as I said earlier, if you find that broad is now flying and it's like, well, actually getting leads and the link clicks are really good and the cost per click is really good, just turn the other two off and just keep on running abroad and then just put the budget up. So you then put all your daily budget on broad, keep it running, and now you've got a winning audience that's working. Then you can go through the sort of same thing we did it again, but you can take the broad audience out with the ad and now test ad 1, 2, and 3. And I would do that by simply duplicating this 3 times, having 3 audience 3s and giving each of those a different one. So I will just quickly show you. I want to do an audience. I've got 2 more copies. The other 2 are off like this. And you can see here, now we've got our different copies. So now I would go, this one was ad 1. This one is ad 2. This one is ad 3. And now you can see we've gone into 3 different audiences. A little bit of a thing there, which Meta likes to do. And thinking we work quicker than Meta works. So there we go. We got our ad 3. Now we need to change those. We don't know which one's which, do we? So we would need to go into, that's ad 1. We're going to add, going this way. Look for our highlighted one, change that to number 3. Audience 3, ad 2. Yeah, it's that one that needs to be added now. It needs to become an ad 2. And then I would go in here, and if we're just going to test out the creative, I would literally keep everything the same, bring that in here, go straight to media because I don't want to change the copy because again we only test for one thing and this one's going to be this. So choose number 3. See, clicks out of that. Need it to be original. Skip that. We turn optimizations on and then off again to make sure they're all off because that's the only way to do it. We go down to this bit and we do. It's not even brought one up, is it? Yep. See, it's hidden. Visual touch-ups. Done. And then we go and do the same for other one. And then we've basically we've tested an audience, we've got a winning audience, and then we can go straight into another test, which is testing these 2 against with another £10 a day each to test out the ads. And there we go. I hope that helps. I hope you enjoyed that and got some learnings from it. Again, if you want, I've done an ad very similar to this for the testing side this morning. If you go into school.com/the ads clinic, my colleague Precious will be uploading this in the next couple of days as a recording, and then we'll also be uploading the video I did this morning, which is how to test your ad creatives in the best way for a low budget. And I hope that helps. I love it. If I'd see you there. Remember, I've got a drop-in clinic tomorrow at 4:30, and you'll get the details and a Zoom link from my school. Thank you very much for coming, and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.